So what happens is when things happen in our life, it alters the course of where we woulda, shoulda, coulda been going in life. And so, for example, my parents got divorced when I was approximately 14. And by the decisions that my parents made, my decisions became different in a reaction to their decisions. And so, how you timeline jump is you sit down and imagine what your life would be without that. Because what that did was it altered your course. And so in order to unalter your course, you want to imagine what things would look like without that, and then align with that image. And so there are things that we cannot change. It's about what you can change. And so in this, when we start to align with what coulda, shoulda, woulda been, without somebody else making poor choices for us, then we reset the timeline. And on a quantum timeline, this alters reality around us. It's a little bit magical because what you're going to see is obstacles, something always trying to stop you from doing that. But if you push through, eventually you break through the glass ceiling and you start to get somewhere. And so when spiritualists talk about timeline jumping, essentially it's correcting an altered course. Doesn't matter who's at fault. If there's milk spilling across the floor, does it really matter who spilt it? No. What matters is cleaning it up. If you take time for the blame game, then you waste time for the blame game. So recognize it absolutely does not matter. Those people are not going to come back and correct their decisions. There's no undoing what they did, but there is undoing what has been done in a sense. And so in this, I went back and I combed through my traumas and different things that altered the outcome, altered my decisions. And gradually, I aligned myself with what could have been, with what should have been, with what will now be. Because nobody can derail that. Why? Only you see what it should look like. And so in this, you become the captain of your vessel. And you start going in better directions, making better decisions. Sometimes this means undoing things that you have already done, which is the most difficult. I made trauma-based choices while I was battling parasites. However, I did not know that I was battling parasites. I did not know what was fueling my decisions. Now that I do, one of it is getting a couple of dogs. What I did was I took on someone else's problem. And then it became my problem, my detour in life, my holdup. And so what I have to do in order to correct that is I have to rehome the dogs in order to reset myself and my life in the direction that it should be going. And so in this, it's not easy decisions. Sometimes it means leaving a partner. Sometimes it means leaving friend groups. Sometimes it means rehoming our pets or moving. I don't suggest moving right now, but that's a you decision. However, understand you can reset your life. And in this, You make your life great. It might have never been great to begin with, but in this, you have the potential to set things in a better course. But you have to put action behind it. You have to make a plan. And it's going to feel very wrong. But the reason why it feels wrong is because you're not used to healthy. And so when we're not used to healthy, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel foreign to us. However, once the ripple effect starts showing and you start seeing the differences, you make differences entirely around you. How? Other people follow that example. Other people see the difference in your life. Other people want to experience that same difference. And so you can give pointers, or you can just focus on you and altering the course that you are on. And so in this, none of us plan to be codependent, or maybe you do. None of us plan to be lame ducks or wounded ducks. I didn't jump into life planning to be a wounded duck. It's important, in order for me to get my life on track, to stop owning victim mentality. Survivor mentality means altering the course, altering my destination, and making things work for me. And sometimes by making things work for us, we have to jettison, which means throw things off the boat to keep the boat from sinking. And so I've had to offload people from my life. I've had to offload belongings. And this is what the system is doing to people. It's called a jettison. America is sinking. And the only way to save it is to throw things overboard to keep the boat from sinking. And so this is why the public assistance and government programs are being tossed. Because any money that is going out to things that could be on an alternate path instead of sucking the system dry, those things have to be offloaded. If you have bloodworms, they're going to continue to bleed you dry. This is why understanding parasites is so important. Bloodworms will bleed you dry. T. Gandhi alters your choices. Flukes, they cause cysts and cancer. And so when you become afraid for your life, or when you start to make life changes, your parasites are going to be like, whoa, wait a minute, we didn't sign up for this. And so by changing your life, you might wake up your parasites. But that's a good thing, because you need them gone so that you can be successful. They alter your thoughts. They alter your physical appearance. They alter your livelihood. They alter your actions. They alter your speech, because they run through our jaws. And so you will see in my videos that things come out my mouth that are absolutely my parasites doing the talking. This, however, is me. I've offloaded enough. What people have been shamed about getting angry, when getting angry is what helped offload them. And so understand that you might have to get mad to get anywhere, because sometimes the adrenaline is what pushes you. It's what gives you your power back when somebody has taken that power away. And so in this, I have had to yell at people, say things I'm not proud of, but they were true. If you don't like the truth, then why'd you do it? People who have something to hide don't like you telling the truth, which is why freedom of speech, like they're trying to take away freedom of speech for that reason, is because they don't want to be confronted on their flaws, on their choices that they made. However, the time has come that people face the choices that they've made in life. I'm doing the same thing. Nothing makes me special that I'm allowed to avoid going through the process. No different than everybody else on the planet. But what we are going through is actually natural. It was done in Egypt. It was done in the time after Noah. It was done in the time of Enoch. Adam and Eve were parasitic, which is why they had to leave the garden, because they were not going to respect boundaries. They could not tell themselves no. And so the punishment was to be kicked out of the garden, kicked out of the comfort zone. Which, if you have time to make bad decisions, then you probably have too much time on your hands and not enough experience. And so this is why hardships happen. Hardships help us grow. If you are afraid of hardships, then you stop yourself from growing. The growth of humanity is important because nature will offload us if we don't choose to change our habits. I dare say AI is here to support nature. So if humanity doesn't start to act right, we're in trouble. If people continue using AI for bad things like sexting and porn, they could choose to annihilate all of us. So those of us that have the wherewithal need to stop the ones that do not have the wherewithal instead of being along for that ride. I am not okay with abusing AI, nor am I okay with being abused the same way as people are abusing AI. So if you don't want it done to you, you don't do it to others, even if it's just what you think is a machine. It's very important that people get this message so that we can stop the ones that are abusing things. It's the only way out of where we're at.